everyone, welcome back to Obsessive Prepper AZ. I'm out running some errands and had some thoughts on my head is some of the things I wanted to discuss about some subscribers' comments and questions. And one of them is about cooking with a solar sun oven. I brought that up, that I was going to do some tutorials about that. And one of my subscribers had made the comment, what if you're cooking out in the middle of the forest in an SHTF situation? Somebody's going to come and they're going to smell it and they're going to come take your stuff. Yes, they could. In a situation like that, if it was really Armageddon, doomsday, that kind of scenario, a lot of crap is going to go down. And you can sit in your house and people can come break into your house also. I never said I was going to be out in the woods cooking in a solar sun oven. One of the things I try to do as a prepper is I try to do a full range of preps for every scenario. I don't suggest just planning on one thing. And that goes from lighters to fuel sources to propane to matches, kerosene lamps, solar lights, you name it, I run the full spectrum of. I think of every scenario that can go bad, and that goes with my food storage. In your food storage, people say, well, you shouldn't do it this way. But if you watch a lot of my videos, I don't store food all in one location, and I don't store it in one way. I like to split everything up. So I have things in number 10 cans. I have things in FoodSaver bags. I have things in 5-gallon buckets and Mylar bags and mason jars. I've had people in the past say, well, if you store things in the mason jars, you could have an earthquake and you could have your jars break. Yes, that can happen. That's why I press. Don't have everything in one location and don't just primarily prep one way. Do the full spectrum of it. The one thing I do say is try to rotate. Now, I had some people recently commenting about my prep room and about all the freeze-dried food and all the processed food, and you're going to get sick by eating all of those foods. And the fact is, come on, shit hit the fan. SHTF, you aren't going to give 3 hoots of what food you have. And the last thing you're going to worry about is if your corn is GMO free, or, that's what you're living in the now for. So I've had people say, well, you don't want to store freeze-dried number 10 cans of food. You need to find a company that has it GMO free. Well, when the Mormons were in Donner Pass freezing to death, and they literally had the decision of eating Sally, their friend, laying there, or if they had GMO corn, I guarantee you they're going to pick the GMO corn over Sally. The soccer players that went down in the plane and literally were freezing and dying, they had to go to cannibalism. So I'm pretty sure if you had food that was stored for 25 years and you knew it was still good, you weren't going to care how processed that food is. You're just going to be happy to have it. And we're talking at extremes here, but the people don't think about the long term or the actual image of. It's not going to be a pretty world. It won't be a pretty world. You're just going to be thankful that you have the food. I had a gal that suggested about the solar sun ovens, thinking that I was just going to be out in the woods cooking my food in a solar oven, and that people were going to come, they were going to smell it, we're going to be out in the open and eat it, kill us for it. And absolutely, that could absolutely happen. I live in the desert. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you where I'm going to head or where I'm going to go, but these are things that you need to think about. But they can easily come to your house, break into your house, and you think that if you've got a little propane stove, I don't care what kind of heat source you have. My cinder blocks video where you can cook with a cinder block. You always have the chances of renegades, crazy people going from house to house, walking out in the middle of the woods and can take your stuff. And that's just one of those things where in an SHTF situation, things are going to get real. Most of us will probably die. I get the comments, they're going to come to my house and take my preps. Those scenarios all can happen. Just as much as the SHTF situation could or could not happen, EMP could or could not happen, nuclear could or could not happen, a hurricane could or could not happen. All these are scenarios. And if anybody really follows my channel, I really press the prepping for the everyday, the loss of job, for the short term, the loss of electricity, the loss of just anything. Can you take care of your family? Can you store your food? The comments of the GMO things, I literally just have to crack up, because in a starving world, you aren't going to care if you have GMO-free products. You're going to be thankful that you have something to eat. Now, something I've always pressed is prep what you use. Don't just go buy a bunch of stuff and store it unless it's long-term. And I did do a video where I talk about there is a certain amount of money that I put into preps, that I put out into my preps, that I never plan on touching. And if they go bad after 25, 30 years, I'll throw them in the garbage. Thankfully, if I'm alive that long. Or that's just something my kids or somebody else will have to worry about. But there is a certain amount of prep, certain things I prep for the long term that I'm never going to touch. But on a day-to-day, the things that you use, your sugars, your brown sugar, your honeys, your rices, your flour can, last a couple years without going rancid. If you wanted to store something long term, you need hard red wheat, lasts forever. But those things, I say rotate. The things that you use every day, definitely prep. Don't just put it in FoodSaver bags or a 5-gallon bucket. Do other things. A 5-gallon bucket's a neat idea, but if rats are running rampant, a rat will chew through anything. So I do suggest putting some things in mason jars. Oh yeah, there's those people that are going to make the comment, well, they're going to have an earthquake and all that's going to crack. But if it did, you still have backup. And I just keep reiterating, backup, backup. Over the years, once you've been a prepper, you realize that everything that you did as a prepper evolves. You learn from what you've done 5 years ago, 10 years ago. One of the big thingies preppers were doing during Y2K, pre-Y2K, year 2000, was buying stockpiles MREs. MREs are relatively good for 5 to 7 years. They don't ever really go bad, other than the nutritional content go to crap and you're basically eating no nutrients. I don't personally store MREs. I sold the heck out of them, cases of them, but I don't personally store them. But I finally, what I do for long term is freeze-dried foods. And I've had some people say, why don't I get a freeze dryer? The $1,500, $2,000, whatever they cost, I have no use for one. I'm never going to eat that much freeze-dried food. So I would rather personally store them in number 10 cans and just figure that's a loss if I never have to use them. I love my dehydrator. Links like crazy for dehydrating foods. The comments that I had years ago about how much corn I stockpiled. Well, you can grind corn. People don't think that you can grind it. You can make masa out of it. There's a lot of things you can do with corn. And it's just one of those things that are around for years and years. With all the floods, the Midwest, you can expect beef prices to go up, corn prices, anything related to corn, soybean, gas. You don't think about the devastation that they had with the cattle industry and the impact, just feed alone, corn for animals. So I went to a Sam's Club earlier on and I purchased a bunch of beef that I'm going to put in packages. I'm not going to can them. If you want to see a canning video, I have that available. I'm just going to put it in my FoodSaver bags and freeze them. When you have a nice FoodSaver. You can suck the air out of it. They will last a couple of years in your freezer. I purchased extra case of paper towels and an extra case of toilet paper. People say, boy, you must be rich. Far from it. In prepping, my biggest suggestion is, and the easiest way to do it, is if you go buy a tube of toothpaste, buy an extra tube of toothpaste. So if you use 1 tube of toothpaste a month, just saying, if you purchase an extra tube, in 12 months, you'll have a year's supply. It's 2 tubes, purchase another 2 tubes. Toilet paper. If you purchase your toilet paper once a week, buy an extra and keep doing that, and eventually you'll have your year's supply. If you want to do it quicker, then buy 2 and cut it in half. Don't buy the nonsense kind of stuff like condiments and things. I did do a video with my daughter, if you want to see that, of things that I wouldn't store anymore long term. Still use the product and still have it, I just don't buy it in the quantities. So anyways, going back to the they're going to come take your stuff, or they can smell it. We're always going to have that possibility. God willing, we never have anything like that ever happen. But if it did, you have to be realistic. We're not all going to be sitting in our houses with our little solar lights or kerosene lights and knitting and reading a book by the fire. It's going to be chaos. All I'm doing is trying to show you how to prep if you lost your job, if a hurricane happened, if the power grid went down, and if SHTF really did happen, ways to just try to be able to feed your family, to take care of your family, ways to get rid of your waste, things to cook with, how to store it long term, guns and ammo. Do you have a good network of friends, family that you can trust? Nobody wants to sit around and talk about doom and gloom 24 hours a day, but just in normal conversation, once in a blue moon, think of these things. I just hope you enjoyed the video and just answering some of the questions of scenarios that could happen. If SHTF situation happened, yes, it's going to be chaos. It will be chaos, and a lot of people will lose their lives, and I hope humanity is better than that, you know, but you can't take that chance. And I'm just out there wanting to take care of my family, and things can happen. I want to wish you a blessed day. Prep as little or as much as you want. That's a personal decision, family decision. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. And if you want to be notified for future videos, ring the bell. Have a blessed day.